Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Royal Ballet School, whether you're watching online, and I know there's an enormous crowd watching online, or here in the studio at the Royal Ballet School. We're delighted you could come tonight. Excuse me. This week is Valentine's Day, and of course, everywhere you look, there are hearts and flowers and all sorts of things to tempt you and that. But for me, if I want to think about Valentine's and pure love, I just go on YouTube and watch the inimitable Alessandra Ferri doing the pas de deux, the balcony pas de deux from Romeo and Juliet. That to me is love. And I am so pleased that we have in Valentine's week our own Juliet, Alessandra Ferri, here with us tonight to chat with us and tell us about her career and her future plans. And her Romeo this evening is Gerard Dowler. We are expecting some very interesting lifts, Mr. Dowler. Yeah. Anyway, if you have questions, if you're online, type them into your chat box and we will try and get to them. And we will also take questions from in the audience too. So please enjoy yourselves and welcome Alessandra Ferri and Gerard Dowler.
Good evening, everyone. This is a first for me because I've interviewed many, dozens, possibly pushing into the hundreds of dancers over the years for magazines, etc. But I have never interviewed a Prima Ballerina Assoluta.
Oh.
So it's a great privilege for me and also a source of great excitement because your artistry and you in the world of ballet have marked all my dance-going life. And so it is an enormous privilege. We're going to explore all sorts of maybe different byways. The conversation may move here and there. But how I'd like to kick things off is to talk about the bookending of your career with two British choreographers. Early on, Kenneth MacMillan, and then in recent years, Wayne McGregor. Perhaps you could start by just outlining what Kenneth MacMillan has meant to you as an artist.
Oh, everything. Of course, I was very, very lucky to be chosen by Kenneth at a very, very early age. I was still in the school, really, to work with him, and very early to be choreographed on and to do all of his major 3-act ballets. So I think Kenneth helped me to understand who I really am and was as an artist, and forged me, and his teachings through working with him and through his ballet have accompanied me my whole life. So my sort of 45 years long career have had his how can I say, he marks. He really has taught me what really dance and ballet can be, which is a life experience and a theatrical experience, and how to transform every gesture, every movement into an expression of feeling and intention. So it's almost that dance become the language, but it's not the main point. So I think that everything else, and I've always had I took his teaching and applied to everything and anything else that I've done.
I mean, I think I'm right in saying that your big break is not an inconsiderable role of Mary Vetsera in Myling.
Yes.
The first big break, which is an enormous ask of any dancer. And yet you were in your teens still.
Well, I think I was her age. I
Right.
was, I was 19, and there was of course, a certain amount of being totally not understanding of what was really happening. For me, it was just a lot of fun. And I think he thought I was probably typecast in it because my age, because my temperament. So I was really just having great fun at the time without being aware of how big that was. It was, I came out of school, I was like, okay, that's fine, I'll dance that. And the awareness of what a major break I had came later. I remember we danced Meyerling here, and of course, and then we right away went to New York, and I danced at the Met. Completely anyway, I was just loving doing what I was doing. There was really no understanding of the weight that I was carrying of the whole, the ballet.
Yeah. But it's interesting because, I mean, MacMillan created Valley of Shadows for you, which is based on the Garden of the Finzi Contini, and also Different Drummer.
Yes.
I mean, these are very, very heavy, weighty subjects. Do you think that MacMillan saw something in you and your personality, which he could then...
Obviously. I think that he could see more about me that I saw in myself.
Yeah.
He was obviously an incredible talent scout, and he really understood people. He would stare at people during rehearsals. Sometimes you would see him just stare at people standing on the side, and I think he understood people, and so he obviously saw in me the capacity of drama and of portraying characters and a certain freedom. And I think he saw in me a courage. I was really courageous to really throw myself completely into a role.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what he obviously appreciated in me, and helped me to even, get more and more deep into that aspect of dancing. And also I was fearless. I think I still am. Sometimes I think about things a bit more than I did then, but I technically, in all the choreographic difficulties, I had no fear. So when I danced, I never thought, oh my God, what if I'm going to fall over? I was also very lucky, of course, because he always paired me with the most incredible partners, starting from Wayne Eagling, and then on. And so I had no reason to fear, because obviously I thought I was great, but really they were doing all the work. I had no idea. I realized much later, when I suddenly maybe had the experience to dancing with somebody less experienced, I thought, oh, wow, they were really good. Wayne was very good. At the time, I was super, super young. So, but definitely he's been my artistic father. And I really feel that. I really know, that everything I really know comes from meeting him.
I mean, you've worked with some of the great choreographers of the second half of the 20th century and into the 21st. I'm just going to fast forward to Wayne McGregor.
To the end, to the other side.
Right, the other side. Recently, obviously, Woolf works, we know, but then there was work for ABT, which you also did La Scala, I think.
Yes.
How did Alessandra Ferri and Wayne McGregor come together?
That was a very unexpected meeting. We'll get into this, but of course I had time. I took I stopped and had about 6 years completely off, and then came back to dancing in New York in a play. It was a dance play at the Signature Theatre on Broadway. So I came back to performing, not imagining that I was ever going to take up such a big production at the Opera House or at the Met or at La Scala. I really came back thinking I was going to explore a different way of performing and different things. And Wayne came to see a performance in New York of this production of Chérie that I did, which I actually did at the Linbury many years later. And he introduced himself and said, you know, I'm about to embark in this new work on Virginia Woolf, and I'm looking somebody that can portray her. And I looked at him and I said, well, first of all, do you know how old I am? Because I was by then, I think I was 50 or 51 or something. And I, of course, know that Wayne's choreography can be quite demanding physically. So I said, you know, and he goes, yes, of course, but I need to, but he's an extremely wonderfully deep and sensitive person. And I knew that, of course, if he asked me, he must have asked me for a reason and not to, you know, so I said, okay. And in many moments in my life, I take decision on the spot because I feel that the right thing. And then I think about the difficulties later. But I say, if I say yes, then I've got to do it. Because then if you start thinking, then you get afraid. So I thought, yes. And then he left and I went, oh my God, what did I do? Because of course I was not in shape for such a major piece. But I'm a hard worker. So I decided, okay, I've got a few months to turn up in shape. And it was really an amazing encounter for me. I think with that, Wayne has given me 10 extra years of my artistic life because he introduced me to what dance and ballet can be today. So I felt he took me by hand into the present and the future of ballet. And I'm extremely grateful for this wonderful encounter. And it was, of course, very different from my relationship with Kenneth MacMillan, because I was very young when I met Kenneth, you know. So with Wayne, it's much more an even relationship. I can offer, I guess, more consciously things to him. I can also lead him. He can lead me. Where with Kenneth, of course, I was just wide-eyed and ready to go, but without really knowing, you know. So it's been a very special relationship with Wayne that I cherish very much.
Certainly it felt, watching Woolf works, that your presence shifted him as a choreographer, and his approach just changed in order to bring the best out of you.
That maybe, you know, because also where I am in my life, I am not afraid of stillness and of silence. And I think that that's a quality that maybe Wayne was, maybe it didn't explore before, you know. So I really felt that I could go there, and he obviously understood that, and we all learn from each other. You know, we all learn, and that's what's so wonderful in this kind of, in this art form, because it's not something that you do alone as a dancer and as a choreographer. you construct things together, because it's not like writing, you have a piece of paper and then it's just you writing. But when you're writing on a person, that person exists, so gives back. So it's a conversation.
You, as I've said, you have worked with many notable choreographers, and we could spend the entire evening talking about each of them in turn. But apart from those two, is there someone who stands out for you as having really influenced you or changed your approach to the art form?
Well, I think if I have to really name the one that have meant a lot in different stages of my life, Kenneth and Wayne, and then in between, I would say Roland Petit and John Neumeier, which I was, very lucky to. I've always had a long period of time where I work with a particular choreographer. It's never been like one ballet and go, one ballet, So with Roland, I spent a time with him, with his company, and I danced his ballet all over the world. And with John Neumeier as well. He also created something very recently on me, on Eleonora Duse, which is this very well-known Italian actress, iconic actress, and he created a whole piece on that. But I think, and they taught me very different things. Roland was very particular, very French. His use of technique is extremely sophisticated, I would say, and it requires a very cutting elegance. He's a man of great taste. And with him, I learned the importance of every details of how you go on stage, how you dress, how big the earring is, how small the earrings, the color of a lipstick. And everything is part of the character. And how long the skirt, so I really learned about aesthetic also, which is extremely important, because the details actually make excellence. So he was a man of great culture, and not easy to work with, but a great maître, as they say in France. And I was very close to him and his wife, Zizi Jammer, who taught me how to sign an autograph. Because I remember I was once sitting with her, and of course somebody came, Madame Jammer, can you do an autograph? So she did this bit, and then they said, would you like to do an autograph? And I went, okay. And I wrote, and she went, why are you writing so small? Make it big. But she was just a lovely woman. And then with John Neumeier, again, John is a wonderful choreographer, but also a great director. I think I've really learned the art of theater, the art of timing, lighting, how to work with the light on stage. He works like every ballet he does, he wants you to wear the costume and the props from day one. And it's amazing, because once it becomes your clothes. So when you go on stage, you don't actually, you've become that character. So, they're all very different people, but just wonderful. And I think I've been so extremely lucky to experience that.
Perhaps this is a good opportunity to pause if there are any questions about choreographers. We have all sorts of areas we can explore as we progress, but is there anything that comes to mind, any questions you'd like to ask at all? Either here or online.
No, but I mean, there've been so many, I work with Agnes de Mille and Anthony Tudor,
Gosh,
and again, it was I mean, of course, I didn't spend as many years with them, but you know, the people who have made the history of ballet, and you know, they all brought such a truth and dedication and commitment to their art form, and it's really their life. It's not about a profession. You know, it becomes your life when you when that is your approach to the art form.
We move on.
Move on.
You are, I would describe it as a three-center ballerina. We've had London, New York, and Milan. And in fact, that initial period in London didn't last very long.
No.
I think you left in 84.
Yeah.
So after four
years.
seasons.
Yeah.
What was the reason for going when you already made principal?
Now, the reason for going was that I was 21 at the time, and I was asked by Mikhail Baryshnikov if I wanted to join ABT and dance with him. What would you have done? I went, yes, I'm just going to pack now. But it's just that again, I'm curious, and I sometimes I see when a train goes by, when life, you know, a train of life goes by, and I thought certain things you cannot say no to out of fear. You know, it's the same with Wayne when he said we do Woolf. I mean, I knew it was a kind of a crazy thing to say yes to go back, but you know, when Misha asked me to go, I said, of course I am. I mean, yeah, you know, is this going to happen again? No, and I would have regretted probably all my life. So I said, yes, I'm coming. I will come, and therefore there I went. I went to New York, and I didn't really know how long I was going to go for. It turned out to be almost 35 years, but I was going to go for maybe a year or two, you know, try out, just go. But I don't ever listen to my fears. I was afraid. It's not that it was all easy, you know. When I got there, it was hard. But I don't give in to fear.
It probably explains a great deal. But presumably also you'd left home, you'd left Italy to come here to London.
At 15, yeah.
Yeah. So how was that move to New York? How was, as a professional, you were principal here at the Royal Ballet, you left to join ABT. What were the big changes?
There were many. I think, you know, here, of course, I came out of the school, of the Royal Ballet School, when I joined the company. And the feeling here, and it still is like this, is of nurturing. The dancers are really nurtured. It's a family. You come out from the school, everybody knows, you know, your friends, you know, the people in the company. So there is a sense of protection, okay? When New York, the ABT reflects what New York is, a amazing, exciting place, but crazy, and everybody's on their own. Okay, so when you arrived at ABT, the atmosphere is fun. I love American Ballet Theatre, I really do. But it was very different. You know, first of all, I arrived as a principal dancer at 21. So there's a lot of expectation, where here I became a principal really fast, but I still started from the school. So there I arrived the principal dancer, and people come from all over the world. Of course, now it's changed. Also here, there are people from dancers that come from all over the world, but at the time they were not. I think I was the first non-Commonwealth dancer to join the company at the Royal Ballet. So when I arrived in New York, there were people from South America and Europe and from everywhere. And you really, either you break or you make it, basically. Although it's a very loving company and loving people and fun, but and also the way they rehearse or they don't rehearse, I should say. Sometimes you get thrown on stage, basically. America, everything is private. You don't have the privilege of having a theater that is your home, that you can have many stage calls. Everything costs. So you cannot do stage calls because they're very expensive. So what happens is you get rehearsed and then you go, there you go, pushed on stage. And So, but that was an incredible school. You learn to face your fears and go beyond it. You learn to what we call to become a stage animal, where you just react to anything that can happen on stage. Nothing is planned, and it gives you an incredible sense of freedom when you learn to do that. So I really enjoyed my time at ABT. And of course, then there was Dancing with Misha, which was extraordinary. I mean, I did my debut in Giselle was with Baryshnikov, which was a lot of pressure, I would say. But again, it was a dream come true, really.
Did you feel sort of sense of freedom? Because here, I don't know if you would agree, but was there a danger of you being pigeonholed, a MacMillan dance?
Yes, absolutely. There was. I mean, I think now it doesn't happen so much, but at the time there was a little bit, But it's funny because I worked in so many companies and in different in different countries where there's different culture. That exists a little bit everywhere, people see you as that. And so in each country I had a very different identity, which was really interesting. Some people would see me a very romantic ballerina, other like a very, I don't know, full of personality, and the other one very dramatic. But each one had a little bit of slightly different idea of my personality. And they're probably all true, really, So the traveling around gave me a lot of independence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and also, I mean, ABT, it's not am I right to say it's not a permanent contract? It's for part of the year and then you're free to.
It wasn't like that at the time. When I joined, we worked the whole year, pretty much. So it's not a the contract is it's a whole season contract, but they have a lot of what they call layoff. So there are times where you rehearse for maybe like 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then you perform a lot, and then you'll have 4 weeks off, and then you pick up again. And so, I had the opportunity to guest. I had many guesting around the world and through my whole life and with different companies.
Is it important for you to dance with the same people, or are you more stimulated by having that new experience and a new?
It was very important to me to have partners that I really bonded with, because I think that it's like in life, you can really bond with somebody, and you just feel that you can really, because for me, dancing means really showing who I am, opening with no limitations. So I need to have full trust on the other person. I need to feel that the other person can do the same thing with me. So I call him the love of my life as a partner was definitely Julio Bocca, which we danced for 20 years everywhere in the world. But there are of course other wonderful dancers that I really enjoyed and loved dancing with. So he wasn't the only one, but for me that was something. It is special. The partner is special.
And who put you together? Was that?
It was actually Misha. Yeah. Julio joined the company the year after I did, and so we were both very young, and Misha wasn't dancing everything at the time, so he put us together, and we fell in love in the fact that we really felt that we were complementing each other. He was helping me and teaching me certain technical things that I felt I was more vulnerable, and I was leading him into the dramatic side that he had never experienced before. So we were teaching each other, and we grew up together until the very last, our last performances, so yeah, partnership are important.
Do you feel that, did you start to see yourself as a particular type of dancer, that you're more towards the dramatic or the 20th century or the classics, or?
Not the classics. I never really enjoyed, with the exception of Giselle, which I love dearly, and it was always one of my favorite roles. But I feel that I think I can really be who I am when I can be a person, not a fairy tale. Or I need to be able to dive into the role, and sometimes, so I feel uncomfortable in roles that are very technically strict in a particular style, because first of all, I can never do the same thing twice. So that already was a nightmare. If I often improvise on stage, not the step, because of course the steps are the script and those I know, but I improvise on the phrasing of the musicality, on the approach towards the step. I'm very free like that. So the idea of doing Sleeping Beauty, which I have done because I thought I've got to do it like a medicine. And then I thought, okay, now I did it. It was very beautiful. I love Sleeping Beauty. I love watching it. But, I know there are many ballerinas who can do it a lot better than me. So I wanted to try it. I did it. And then I thought it's a beautiful ballet, but I lost like 5 years of my life doing it. So not again. So I just love being free.
Yeah. Yeah, and Giselle gives that.
Giselle gives that,
so
absolutely. I know I made Giselle my own, the way I approached, the way I did it, the way I thought about it. I could make that my own. I could use my body to express how I felt it was right for me by keeping, because I did that with Misha, and it was very strict that it had to be in a certain way. So I wasn't making it modern, but respecting that romantic style. But I don't know, I just feel it's part of the way I need to dance. It's not even how I like, I need to dance that way. And
it's interesting because of all the 19th century ballets, it's the one that people are most remembered for. You talk about great Giselles, and you talk less about great Auroras, because the Giselle is.
Well, I think it touches you, Giselle. No, it's a universal story of inner growth and understanding of unconditional love and what we have to go through to become that person. I mean, it's I always think that in those stories you cannot be literal, and it's not it's what does the story represent. There's something wonderful, like the Misha always said, it's like Act 2, it's his mad scene. And what does it mean to die for love, your broken heart? Of course, she dies physically, but it's not important. It's what there's something about you dies for your soul to be free to love how one should learn to love. So it's a very immense story, I think, the one of Giselle, and that's what I loved.
For you, is it important that this touches on what will happen in the near future, because you take on the directorship of the Vienna State Ballet and you'll be company artistic director? But how important is it for you, for the classics, let's take Giselle, to remain recognizably Giselle? Or are you open to different interpretations by new choreographers?
Okay, I mean, I think Giselle is Giselle. Okay, because first of all, it has never been surpassed. The purity of Act Two and it's the perfect ballet choreographically. There have been some wonderful newer approaches to the piece, but in the end, you always go back to where the source is. So I think that to make ballet, you know, sometimes I hear, oh, ballet is dead, or, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. I think you need, when everything is approached from a very profound way, and you're able to dance from that profoundness, then the ballet is eternal. You know, and it can work, a new version, if it's understood what the real heart of the ballet is, which is not the story.
Yeah. As an artist, how influenced have you been by previous interpreters of a role?
I have been inspired, maybe, I don't know if influenced, but inspired by, for sure, Carla Fracci. I grew up as a child with Carla Fracci dancing Giselle, and she was a sublime Giselle, and her Act Two, I will always remember, and it was really otherworldly. So she was amazing, and she was very, you know, her acting, her dramatic. And then I rehearsed Giselle. I, of course, then in ABT saw Natasha Makarova doing Giselle, which was, again, extremely beautiful. But interestingly enough, I, at one point, decided that I wanted to rehearse Act One and Act Two with different people. So I worked in Act One with Lynn Seymour. Because I think that the physicality and the approach has to be different from Act One and Two. So there are things that are right for Act One that maybe in Act Two. So I kind of did a little bit of a my own way of trying to understand how to work in how to rehearse Giselle.
Have you ever used film or archive footage? Is that something which...
No.
So it's live people
It's
working.
live. Yes.
Yeah. It's clearly very important. Any questions at the moment? Anyone here, either online or here?
Oh.
Dear Monica.
It's not on.
It's on.
Oh,
I'm going to shout. I just wondered whether you'd ever had the chance to work with Jerry Robbins or Mr. Balanchine.
yeah, no, never. I never met George Balanchine, but I have worked with Jerome Robbins. I danced his other dances and were able to rehearse it directly with him. I should add, at 8:30 in the morning, because Jerry wanted to rehearse at 8:30 in the morning. So it was Julio and I, and we were the first one to do other dances after Natasha and Misha.
Yes.
And it was a fantastic experience because he really, any interpretation for Jerry came from the quality and the use of the technique. So it comes from the use of the musicality, of the refinement, of the use of the feet, the cleanness, and that then becomes music and becomes interpretation. And it was, again, it was something I never forgot and tried to apply to other things after after working with him. So yeah, it was it's very cherished experience.
Because the music means so much to him, that every tiny little
Everything,
breath
yeah.
and phrase. Yeah.
And also the capacity of knowing it so well that then you need to, it has to look if you're improvising in that moment. But in order to do that, the work behind is very meticulous and difficult. Yeah.
But he also loves for dancers to find a freedom.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But after you've learned how to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there an online question?
There is a question from the internet audience. Angie is asking two short questions. Do you have a favorite ballet to dance and a favorite ballet to watch? And is there a role you haven't danced but wish you had?
So a favorite ballet, I have a number of ballets, and every time I was dancing, that ballet was my favorite. And then I go, this is definitely my favorite. But there is obviously one role that has accompanied me my whole life, and that I feel I know every cell of that role is Juliet, which I bonded with that role right away, and it changed and evolved with experience, with life experience. And I kind of feel it's in my DNA somehow. But of course, then I would put Manon there. I would put Onegin in that. Giselle, we said, Carmen, Roland Petit Carmen's. So yeah, I mean, if I have to name a few, I would name those. And Wolfwork, sorry, that's my new favorite. Yeah, no, Wolfwork is definitely in that range of life experience. There are certain ballets that lead you to a life experience while you dance them. And those are definitely there.
And a ballet which you...
Oh, that I love to watch, or that I didn't want to dance, that I would like to dance, that would have liked to dance, but I never did. Actually, frankly, no, I would have loved to have worked with Balanchine. That I would have really loved to have done, and I'm really sorry that I never had that. I never met him. When I went to New York, he was already gone, but I think I would have really enjoyed working with him. Yeah.
Yes.
You talk about, just now, you've listed ballets. They've all got stories. Would I be right in supposing that you prefer to dance with storylines rather than plotless ballets?
Not really. I do love plotless, but actually talking about Jerome Robbins, when I did Other Dances, which is a plotless ballet, it's a divine pas de deux piece on Chopin music, and it's really just like a representation of the music. At the end of the performance, he came in the dressing room and he said, that was very good. That was very good. You were dramatic. And he said, and there is no abstract ballet. There are no abstract ballet. You cannot have an abstract ballet because we are people. So whenever you're dancing, you might have no apparent storyline, but there's a story that you bring when you dance, which is your own story. So I love dancing ballets that are really well choreographed. So that gives you the opportunity to do that, because you can only do that through great choreography. So.
I think there's another online question. It's a bit like the Eurovision Song Contest with the voting arriving.
There are two, actually.
Uh-huh.
Sally asks, how different does it feel dancing now as an older dancer? Did anything surprise you about it?
The pain. That's definitely an element that was not there when I was 20. But what it's surprising is the greatness of the truth behind each small gesture and the power of stillness, which as a young dancer is very hard to understand, but to actually be present with your whole being in that moment, I feel a lot more in charge of the space and the energy around me, that I can control the space around me. And I think when you're young, you're always trying to move, you always think you have to do more and more. And in fact, you strip. It's like in life, we need less. We are okay with being quiet. And it's the same thing when you're on stage.
I think there's some more. One more.
Have you imagined yourself doing anything else apart from dancing?
Have I what?
Imagined yourself doing anything
Oh,
other than
imagined.
dance?
Actually, I always knew since I was 4 years old that I wanted to dance, and I never changed my mind, and I never thought I had to do anything else. I was lucky because I was supported by a talent that never put me in front of the fact of, oh, maybe I should think. But this has been my life, my desire, my dream. So I never have. Of course, excuse my cough, but I've been pretty sick with the flu, and it's still going on. But I never really felt the need of doing anything else, except for, of course, living my life, having kids, and being a mother. But theater and dance it's my calling.
Yes.
Sorry, I might be skipping ahead of your agenda, but I just wanted to ask you, when you did stop dancing for 6 years, what you did. Did you take daily classes, Pilates, yoga? And then when you came back to dance, how did you, within 2 months, get your body ready for it?
2 months? No, it was a lot more than 2 months. When I stopped in the beginning, I think for a couple of years, I did absolutely nothing. I just couldn't do anything physical, any kind of training. I just wanted to stop. So my children were still quite young at the time, so I was really enjoying being with them. Then what happened is that I started being in a lot of pain, because I think as an athlete, when you stop like that, you start developing pain, and so I was feeling uncomfortable. So I thought, I think I need to move a bit. So I started doing yoga, I started to do Pilates, and that was nice. But then I thought, this is not enough. So I started to do a class, and my body automatically felt, oh, feels good. So my body enjoyed it. So then I started going to class every day, and then suddenly I was in an okay shape that when I was asked by Martha Clark to do Cherie, I felt, yeah, I think I can do that, knowing that it wasn't a ballet, but it was dancing, but in a play, kind of. I thought, well, that feels like the right thing to do. I wasn't on point, and then again, then Wayne came, and then I really had thought, okay, now I've got to really work hard. So, but it wasn't, I didn't feel wonderfully in shape right away. It was a lot of work behind it.
Can I ask, we've heard the word fear quite a lot,
Yeah.
or lack of fear, or
Ignoring the fear.
overcoming the fear
Just-
somehow.
Yeah.
Does that get more difficult as you progress through your career and you become, the expectations of you increase?
Excuse me. There are different fear. The fears changes, has many faces, has many masks. It comes in different forms. So I think you fear different things throughout your career, depending where you are in your life, in your age, or what are the challenges. So, but it's always there. I mean, I don't think I think there's always doubts. Am I doing the right thing or not? But I always think, just do it, and then you'll think about it down later. Because I know if you don't say yes, that is gone. And if it's something that really resonate with you, then you shouldn't let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think life is life until you're on this planet and until you're functioning. Live your life. So do things. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to explore briefly, because time marches on and we have some important things to speak about. But the third city, the third great company is La Scala, which is your home city.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to go back there and to be part of the artistic life of Milan?
Very important, because of course my roots are there, and my family, I'm Milanese, and so it at one point it was hard. I don't mean not to be recognized there, but not to be present in my own country. So when I was asked and invited to have a permanent guest contract with the company, I was thrilled. And it was quite difficult in a way, because I was always seeing how, like, the young talent that left because people take things in different ways. Sometimes they go, oh, she thinks she did a career. So for me, it was important to be back, to dance on that stage, dance in front of my home people. And again, there is where most of the work that I did with Roland Petit happened. So, and then the other wonderful thing is that I was able, for the first time, to bring Kenneth's work in Italy, which wasn't really part of the repertoire there. So Manon and Romeo, and that for me was very important to be able to do those roles there with the company, and they still have it in the rep, and they do it all the time, and I'm very happy about that. Because I love those ballets. So I want them, when I see them, that they're done, and now of course everybody does them. For me, it's wonderful.
Yeah, but is the audience in Milan, has it been different for you?
The audience are different everywhere. They have their own personality, which reflect, of course, the culture, the habits, but the audience have been there. I also was able to do Woolf works in Milan,
Yes.
which was amazing, and so yeah, the audiences have always, they're different everywhere, but they were very loving. They're less like vocal than like the Americans can be, but or like when you go to Japan, that they're all very quiet but they love ballet, you know. So they're all different. They have different ways of showing their appreciation.
So how would you characterize the London audience?
It's fantastic. I think no, seriously. I think Londoners have love of theater in every form. You know, there is really no other city. I mean, New York, of course, has a lot of theater and a lot of theater goers, but I think that the understanding and the love for theater that Londoners have is unique. So that is extraordinary to be a performer in London.
And when you were away from Covent Garden for quite some time, what brought you back?
Actually, it was Monica one. She asked me to come and do one performance of Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
I can't remember when, but so that was my first time back. And it was very emotional for me. And very special. And I was quite nervous, I have to say. I was very agitated about performing here again. And then I came back because Wayne in Woolf works, which was, you know, very, very special and very dear. But again, because it was created on me, when you have something created on you, the role really grows with you and grows in your skin. So when you go on stage, it's your baby. Where when you're doing a ballet, you know, that you're just casting, it's a different process, and sometimes it takes a while to get into the role because it's not your dress. You have to tailor it, where this one is made on you, you know.
And do you remember who your Romeo was? It wasn't me, by the way. I have to say. Who was
It was
it?
Roberto Bolle,
Roberto.
yeah.
So the nerves, etc. I'm sure people here were there and saw the Romeo and Juliet with you. I was. How was the reaction for you?
It was very good. No, I think it was well received. I don't know. I was like, in another word, but you know, I was aware, or maybe I was making it up, I don't know, but I was aware of the fact that people were going to go, oh, how has she become, you know, how, let's see, you know, I think there was some expectation. Sometimes you make them up yourself, as a, you know, you create a lot of anxiety when they're not. Actually, when I stopped dancing at the Met, my last performance, it was Romeo and Juliet, you know, and at the end of the performance, I've never seen, and I mean, it was like 20 minutes, the Met went crazy. The amount of love that I felt was extraordinary and overwhelming. And I remember thinking, why didn't I know that before, that people liked me? You know, instead of suffering every performance, I thought, oh God, if I only knew that before, I would have been a bit more relaxed about going on stage, because it was, it was really so moving. And like here, you know, that Woolf was at the last time, it's just amazing to feel that, you know, it's such a, wow, I mean, it moves you deeply to feel there and to be told thank you by all of you and by so many people.
It's something which isn't mentioned very often, but there is a bond between an artist and their audience, and that can be very intense.
Yeah, there's a lot of exchange of love, you know.
How aware, when you've been on stage, how aware are you of the people in the darkness?
I try not to be. I think the reason why, yeah, but it's true. I think the reason why I became a good actress, because I was trying not to be aware of the audience. So I was just trying to be into the role so that I could forget that there was a lot of people watching. Because otherwise, I never dance, and I hope you understand this, I never dance for the audience. I try to be dancing for the people around me so that I'm in the ballet. and then that is shared with the audience. But I don't think I was ever a dancer that would perform to please.
Mm.
It's also a personal need to dance, you know.
And it seems to be that it's a personal need also to transmit your knowledge, because you do a lot of coaching now.
Mm-hmm.
And some dancers and some great dancers don't really do a lot of coaching. Others feel that need. Is that the case for you?
It's very fulfilling to coach, and also I think it's a responsibility. I work with Kenneth, I work with Roland, I work with, and I think it's a responsibility to pass on, because the dancers now never knew him, or, so, and because I love those ballets so much, I really love them. I really want them to live on at their best. And so pass on the truth behind it, And then when I see the ballet done well, and I see somebody finding, and you can see in their eyes when something clicks and they understand, it's really beautiful. And I feel, okay, it's going to live on,
Have dancers changed in terms of the coaching? Are there challenges now which there weren't before? We hear a lot about distractions, social media, technology, etc. Has in your experience, has that affected your coaching in the world of ballet?
No, I think that again, I've got two daughters who are 23, 26, so I lived through them. This moment and every moment is different, so we now have that technology, and they have a lot more access to other films, other people dancing, and maybe there is a competition to what they see on. But there again, maybe we had that competition not through but in other ways. But I think that when dancers do great ballets, they are fully committed, and they live it. I mean, you can really tell that it still touches them the way it touched us, so that's.
I mean, you danced Tatiana in Onegin a lot. And for those who are online, Onegin is on at Covent Garden at the moment, and you've worked with the dancers in rehearsal. Excuse me. How has that process been?
It's been fascinating because, of course, each dancer is different. We're all different. So what I find that I think is actually really fascinating is to understand the person in front of you, understand how they want to portray the role, help them to get there where they want to be, and guide them. And what is really delicate is get to the point where they can fully trust you, even when you push them in places where they are uncomfortable. But when that happens, it's such a beautiful moment of being able to share, because then you really share something and it has happened with the cast here, and it's been really I get moved, when then I watch the performance and I see them do a wonderful performance. It moves me. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of them.
Any questions at this stage. We've got about 10 minutes left, and there's a very important question that I have. But there's some hesitation there. Okay. We're adding a fourth city, which is Vienna.
Yes.
And you're going to be taking over the directorship of the Vienna State Ballet. How has that come about?
So I was asked
That's
if
okay.
if I was interested in taking over, which I was surprised. I was surprised because out of all the company that I've had long relationship with, which you know, the Royal, the BT, we said this, La Scala, the Hamburg Ballet, where I danced a lot. In Vienna, I danced other dances of Jerome Robbins once in a gala in like 1991. So when they asked me, I went, wait a minute, I don't know the company, I don't know the city. I mean, I visited the city, which by the way is very beautiful, but I have no tie to the company. So I was a little bit taken back. And then I thought, actually it's a very positive thing because I don't have a past.
Mhm.
I don't have try to reproduce I'm very free. I just look at the company, I look at their history, I look at the rep, I look at the dancers with detachment. And so I'm very objective about what I think it's needed, where I like to lead them, what I like to bring. So it has given me a freedom to not to be influenced by my own experience with that company.
And but it's a big change. I know that you led the dance section of the Spoleto Festival
Yes.
for some years. But has there been a desire to become a company director?
I think that it's somewhat I knew would happen at some point. I didn't know it was going to happen in Vienna, but I knew it was going to eventually. I actually asked when I stopped dancing I think it was 2007. I was asked if I was offered a directorship in Milan at La Scala, but at the time I felt it wasn't what I needed. It's not where I wanted to be, and also I think I wanted distance from my own career, my own dancing, to be a director. I think you really need to step away from bring your experience, but step away from your dancing feeling, and I feel that now the train came at the right time. And I thought, okay, I'll go.
But it is another big move.
It's a huge move. It's a huge move because, of course, the responsibility is immense.
Yeah.
To lead, there's 100 dancers, there's a school, there's a junior company, and so it's a very big responsibility, but I feel that my approach is with a lot of love for the dancers. I love the dancers. I love for them to experience how wonderful dance and theater can be and how life-changing can be. And I would like to lead them and help them to feel that. So it's very exciting. And I'm very looking forward to September.
You have the added challenge of being in a great opera city, of course.
Yes.
In Vienna.
But the characteristic of that is very similar to Milan.
Yeah.
So I know that. I know that kind of house. I know the relationship with the opera. I know the weight, and I respect that because I come from that reality. So you know, and of course the orchestra, even more than the opera, the Wiener Staats are amazing. And I have to say, every time I watch a performance, a ballet performance, the sound is, oh my gosh, you know, you just want to dance just to be able to melt to that music. It is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, when you have the Vienna Philharmonic in the pit. You
Yeah, it's quite, it's such a privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the closing minutes. Are there any questions which anyone would have, either online or here in person? Don't hesitate. Question, yes.
Hang on. We want everyone online and in the audience to hear you.
We have to remember everyone online. Love to hear.
Thank you. Will you be choreographing your own works, do you think?
No.
Oh.
You know, that's another talent, and I don't believe I have that talent, and I'm okay with it. And I also think it's very intimidating because I grew up having worked with such masters and such giants. You know, I just go, I don't think I can choreograph. I mean, I'm too aware of what a great choreography is and what a great choreographer is to, you know, I leave it up to them.
One more
Alessandra,
question.
yes, I've got one more question here.
Then Monica.
I just wondered if you'd like to say something about how important it is to build the team that you've got around you for Vienna.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I have, because I think that for a director, you know, when you have a vision of how you want the company to be, where the kind of repertoire you want, the kind of how you want your dancer to dance, because, you know, you're very much like an orchestra director. You want the orchestra to have a certain sound and and for me that is important. So to have a team, an artistic team, and also a managerial team next to you who can understand and share and can translate my vision into actions, you know, and the action can be in the studio, but can also be how you manage certain things in this certain way. And you know, behind a great performance, there is, everybody plays a role, from the people in the office writing the program, to doing the rehearsal schedule, to rehearsing the dancers, to paying the bills. Everything is part of the extraordinary fruit that is the performance. So to have a team with you that understand that and that can share and understand what you want is essential, I think, to a good directorship. And thank you for the question.
Thank you. I think that takes us to time.
Okay, it was a great pleasure and a lot of fun. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was absolutely fascinating. And I think Fearless Ferry is about to take Vienna by storm. And I have a feeling that many of us will be making reservations to travel to Vienna to see exactly what amazing work she produces with the Vienna State Ballet. So thank you, Alessandra, and thank you, Gerald. It's been absolutely fascinating. One quick thing before I let everyone go, including those on Zoom. In your programs, which if you're here in the studio, you received, Two things. There is, I think, one place left for Vanessa Fenton's masterclass on Sunday with William Bracewell and Anna Rose O'Sullivan. And the other thing, I'm sorry to tell you, but we just got word last night, the masterclass for New English Ballet Theatre on the 24th of February was to be Valentino Succhetti rehearsing his new work. Unfortunately, Valentino has had something happen in his life and he will not be able to attend. However, Matt Ball will be taking that rehearsal. So there are still a few places left, not many. So you will be getting an email telling you about that, but I just want to give you the heads up now. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Thank you all very much and have a good night.